Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Ugandans, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Dewa Kiki, the Deputy Defense Spokesperson and actually the Deputy Spokesperson for the Uganda People's Defense Forces. I was hosted on Alternative Dig Talk. I encourage all Ugandans that this is the way to go. Always watch, participate, give your views and ask questions on Alternative Dig Talk. Dig Talk, the way to go.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the Mighty Drive. Apologies for coming in late at just 9 minutes past 7 a.m. Some things are unavoidable, so on behalf of the Alternative Dig Talk and the Mighty Drive team, allow me to say apologies for coming in late. But yet again, it's a very good morning right here from the Dig Talk house where we're streaming live. That is at Lukuli in Makindye Division, Kampala District in Uganda. Thank you from wherever you're watching us from, everybody who watches us from the entire globe. Allow me delve into the news stories today. Amacha marungi mwenna abatwegaseko olunaku olwaleero ennaku z'omwezi mukaaga omwezi gwa Gatonnya omwaka 2022. Muzikirize nyingireko mawulire mangu kubanga leero tugenda kubeera n'omwami Odaka Asuman. Odaka Asuman ye National Coordinator w'ekibiina kye bayita NEED. Ekibiina kino kyatandikibwawo omwami Joseph Kabuleta era tugenda kuba nga twebuuza kiki ekigenda maaso mu kino ekibiina era tulina National Coordinator waakyo omwami Odaka Asuman. Agenda kuba yeegatta ku mwami Rogers Tulyahawe n'omukyala Lilian Luwedde omumbejja okuba nga bakwongerayo paka ku ssaawa ziri wazinda bazibeera ssaawa 3 ez'okumakya. Tuyingireko mawulire agabadde gatambula mangu. Aba traffic okutandika n'olunaku lugenda kuba lwaleero bagenda kuba nga basaba kibayita vaccination cards. Nti gwe oba otambulira mu kidduka kyonna, taxi oba oli ku board oba ki oba tolina vaccination cards, that means ogenda kuba nga ogudde mu njabwe kubanga kyategerekeddwa nti bantu bangi nno abatalina vaccination cards naye nga tebadde bakosa public transport. Jukira omukulembeze w'eggwanga yaggulawo eggwanga n'akakasa nti no taxi zigenda kuba nga zitikka abantu 14 nga bwe balina okutikka ne basi nazo zigenda kuba zitikka to full capacity. So mu nkola eyo aba traffic oba the traffic police will be actually looking out for the vaccination cards of each and every individual. In case you're not found with a vaccination card, that means you'll be illegally accessing the public modes of transport, that is a taxi, buses and maybe border borders as well. It has come to the notice of the government and to all other stakeholders that the conductors and the drivers of these particular vans do not know how to differentiate between a valid vaccination card and an invalid vaccination card. So it is in that regard that the government is going to be maybe putting on traffic officers to also be checking through for people who are unvaccinated and those who are actually vaccinated. So it is in that regard to everybody, please go out and get yourself a COVID-19 jab today before things become worse. In that very same realm, the government of Uganda is also developing a new app that is going to be help validate the vaccination cards. Chichentegeza nti government y'eggwanga lino etandise okudesigninga omukutu okugenda okubanga guyamba abantu okukebera ku results zaabwe ne vaccination okulaba omuntu ono baamugemesa oba tebamugema. Eyo site ejja kubeeyamba. Ennaku zino omanyi omulembe mutebi, so mu mulembe guno omutebi tubeerawo nga olina just kukebera ku app oba site yonna website okulaba erinnya lyono ali vaccinated oba tali vaccinated. So government era naye ebadde planning okutandikawo enkola eno ey'okubanga balina app gye bagenda okukozesa okutrackinga abantu abali vaccinated n'abo abatali vaccinated okukebera nti ono kadi gyalina ntuufu oba gyalina nkyamu. Kubanga kyazze oba kyazuuse nti nga obimanyi ebya Uganda nasa wali osobola okwefunirawo kadi yo yonna w'ogyagalira ku budde wonna bw'ogyetaagiramu. Osasula busasuzi kasimbi ne bakugemesa ne bakuwa ne vaccination card ate ng'oluusi bibeera bya mankwetu oba tebiba bituufu. So it is in that regard government yevuddeyo negamba egenda tandika okukozesa designinga app egenda okubanga ekebera COVID-19 vaccination cards zino oba validity ey'omuntu okubanga ali vaccinated oba tali vaccinated. So kyekyo kigenda maaso n'aba traffic nabo babataddeko okubanga batandika okukebera zino zi vaccination card okulaba nti ntuufu oba si ntuufu. Tuddukeko mangu mu musango gw'omwami Sseggirinya ne Ssewanyana. Bano nno ababaka ba parliament, omu mubaka wa Makinde West wano wenyini wetuli uyo mwami Alan Ssewanyana, then omulala ye mubaka wa Kawempe North omwami Sseggirinya Mohammed. Bano balabiseeko mu kooti olunaku lw'eggulo era basabye kooti okubayamba yanguyeko okugatharinga obujulizi bannange kubanga bo bali eri bavundira mu komera naye ate paka sawa zino government ebadde tennabaleeta obujulizi bwavunaana obugamba nti kino kye mwakola oba mwakikola mu bukyamu. Jjukira balina emisango egy'okuba nti baatemula aba baali abating terrorism. They were terrorists, they were abetting terrorism, then also murder of over 26 people were murdered in the Greater Massacre region. That was in early, this particular year. So, abami bano badde basigadde mu komerera wadde baba wa bail ndoza mujjukira emabega kaawo baba wa bail naye bail teina kye yakola kubanga bali bakafuluma be bati ekitalya ne baddamu ne bakwatibwa abakuuma ddembe abali mu uniform ya counter terrorism police. So mu ngeri eyo Sseggirinya ne Ssewanyana nabo basabye kooti aba government wa prosecutors abantu abavunaana omusango guno ate nga government era ye bavunaana gino emisango ne bagamba yanguyeko kubanga bafuna obujulizi oba evidence balabe nti nabo bateebwa bannaye batandika okulya ku bulamu. Bujjukira kati omwaka bagubalidde mu kkomera era tekinnabategeerekekwa ddi abambi bano ababiri lwe balifuna kabondi oba maybe omusango okubaka muvi ne bakaligibwa obudde bwe tutanategeera. So mu ngeri eyo Ssewanyana ne Sseggirinya bye bigenda maaso mu kampu eyo nga we twogerera wano. Tuddukeko mu kibiina kino ekya NUP waliyo omwami bamuyita Mubiru ye LC5 councillor wa Kawempe wa Lubaga North constituency ye LC5 waabwe ate omwami ono yali mabega wa mitayimbwe mabegako. Kizza okuzuulwa nti omwami ono alina ekirwadde kyali mu kubatolinga nakyo ekirwadde kya ekibumba ye liver. Yes alina liver problems era yagenda okufuluma ali mu komera ndoza mujjuka y'omu ku baami abakwatibwa e Kalangala ne basibibwa ne ba Nubian Lee ne ba Eddie Mutwe ne ba Bobby Young ekyo ekibiina ndozo bamujjukira abantu abakwatibwa by then. Okuva olwo ne basibibwa emyezi 6 abamu ne bateebwa. Mubiru ono agenda okuteebwa nga embeera y'obulamu bwe si nnungi era abadde agendanga mu ddwaliro Aga Khan Hospital wali mu Kenya abadde avaayo nga bwaddayo mpola nga wafuna ku bujjanjabi. Okuva olwo paka kati embeera ebadde tennaba kukyukamu yadde n'akatono era wetwogerera ng'omwami ono Mubiru kansula owawali Rubaga North agenda kubanga agenda mu ggwanga erya USA oba America okulaba ng'afuna obujjanjabi obusingako bwabadde afuna wano era ndowooza mujjukira ebigambo ebyatambula nti yali asaba n'omukyala Nabbanja prime minister w'eggwanga lino obuyambi okulaba nga afuna medication y'obulamu bwe n'ekirwadde kino kyabadde abatoling ekirwadde ekya liver oba ekirwadde ky'ekibumba so katumusabire omwami Mubiru abe ng'atereera okuva mu kibiina ekyo ekya National Unity Platform era katumusabire abeere ng'obulamu bwe busuuka bulungi nziruka lukwakwayo because obudde butugenzeeko ate omugenyi waffe omwami Odaka Asuman yamaze dde okuba ng'atuuka wano mu studios twagala kuba nga tunyumyamu emboozi naye okulaba engeri ye kyalowooza ku ggwanga lino erya Uganda yo UPDF yavuddeyo nesaba abantu oba newoninga teyasabye yawoninza abantu abadde bafuna ssente mu ngeri y'amankwetu nga bagamba omwami Abel Kandiho yeetaaga obuyambi bw'ensimbi jjukira omwami ono Abel Kandiho ye CMI boss oba yakulembera ekitongole ekya CMI ekitongole eky'obukesi mu ggwanga lino omwami Abel Kandiho yateekebwako envumbo eggwanga lino erya USA ndowooza mujjukira omwezi oguwedde ogwo bamuteekako envumbo era tebagenda kubanga bamukkiriza okubanga afuna access nga financial services obanga ayingira n'eggwanga lino erya USA so mu ngeri eyo waliyo abantu nga bamanyi bannayuganda abafere batatera kutuula bavuddeyo nga bagezaako okujjamu bannayuganda state nga beefuula nti bo be bantu ba Abel Kandiho era beetaaga ku buyambi era Abel Kandiho ye yavuddeyo ne UPDF nekakasa nti omwami ono talina buyambi bwe yeetaaga ate tannaba kutandikawo fundraising drive yonna okulaba nga yeefunira ensimbi ye ng'omuntu so ebyo byo UPDF egambye erina gwe banaakwata ng'ali mu kikolwa ekyo agenda kubanga asibibwa era ajja kubeera nga anyumya ne kooti ku bintu bino byali mukola ebikyamu ndowooza tudukeko South Africa ndowooza mujjukira omuliro ogwakwata South African Parliament lunaku lwa Sunday wedde eno omuliro gwakwata Parliament ya South Africa era olunaku lweggulo nabagamba wano lunaku lwokubiri nabagamba nti waliwo suspect yali akwatiddwa kati nno kyaddaaki amaze n'alagibwa abantu omwami ono bamuyita Zandi Christmas Mafe lyerinnya lye abasajja bano South Africa balina amannya aganjawulo ono bamuyita Zandi Christmas Mafe myaka 49 yakwatibwa no ng'ali mu around the parliament by the time omuliro gwakwatibwa naye nga lawyer we avuddeyo n'akakasa nti omwami ono yebe bamuteekako bikyamu bamujoyiteseeko misango naye nga ye omuntu yali tabiriimu yadde omwami bamuyita Zandi Christmas Mafe emyaka 49 egy'obukulu era wetwogerera ng'ali mabega wa mitayimbwa jo yatwaliddwako mu kooti okubanga atandika okuweremba n'emisango egyo egy'okukumaako parliament ya South Africa omuliro wadde era nga bagamba okunoonyeza kugenda kubanga kusikala kugenda mu maaso era bamuzizaayo mukomera for one more week banoonyerezeeko mpola mpola balabe kituufu omwami ono ye yakuma omuliro ku South African Parliament oba bigambo byabwe bibali mu kujweteka UDP mu ggwanga lino erya Uganda egambye egenda kubanga egenda mu kooti lwaki egenda kubanga egenda kubanga esuwinga government obanga eropa government obanga ewawabira government okubanga erimu ekibayita discrimination okusosola nti bayogera kino on behalf of the border men nti boda bo basigadde nga babasibya ate nga economy yonna egguddwawo government tenavayo ku justifying ensonga eno lwaki ekisooka yatadde abalala netata boda ate nga ne boda bannayuganda nga abalala ate nabo bawi ba musolo era abakulaakulanya eggwanga lino so DP Democratic Party ng'eyita omwami ajogerera yavuddeyo nekakasa nti nno bagenda kubanga basuwinga gavumenti ku lw'okusosola ababodaboda n'okubanga baganye okubata mu mbeera bweti bo aba Uganda prisons bo bakakasiza nti nno okukyalira kw'abasibe kugenda kubanga kusooka kuyimirizibwamu mpola mpola kubanga kino ekirwadde ekya COVID-19 kibadde kyeyongedde okusaasaanira mu ggwanga lino erya Uganda jjukira ekirwadde kya COVID-19 kyabalukawo ennaku z'omwezi zaali 21 omwezi gwali gwa kusatu omwaka 2020 okuva olwo tubadde tuli mu lockdown nga wetuvaamu nga wetuddayo era paka saawa zino emyaka 2 down the road ekirwadde kya lumiimamawuggwe kikyaluma bannayuganda. So it is in that regard that Uganda prisons bagambye bo okubanga bakuuma abasibe baabwe n'abakola ku makomera gaabwe oba ba prison wardens okubanga babakuuma bagenda kubanga basooka bayimirizaamu okukebera oba okuvisiting okukyalira kw'abasibe bano. So we banaaba kuganya okubanga olaba omuntu wo ng'ali mu kkomera manya nti no kino bakikola mu kwetangira ekirwadde kino ekya COVID-19 oba lumiima mawuggwe. Bo ba Kenyan truck drivers beyongedde nabo okubanga balaga obutali bumativu bwabwe ku lwa ssente zino ezibagibwako $30 okubanga babakebera ekirwadde kino ekya COVID-19. $30 nno si ssente ntono, zibeera ssente nnyingi. So bagambye mbu bannange buli saawa okubanga mutukeberedde Mombasa, mutukeberedde Nairobi, ate mutukeberera ku boda e Busia, kikennyo omayiza ng'osasudde nga $10 nga zokka ziri awo just mu kukebera ekirwadde kino ekya lumiimamawuggwe. So nabo balaze obutali bumativu bwabwe era bagambye bajja tebagenda kubanga basasula ensimbi zino. Eddakiika zira 22 zezakayita ku ssaawa emu ey'okumakya. Munzikirize mpumulemu katono we tukomawo tugenda tandika emboozi n'omwami Odaka Asuman, ono ye national coordinator w'ekibiina oba ekitongole kino ekya NEED ekyatandikibwawo omwami Joseph Kabuleta. Ono nno omusajja akkiriza mu kubanga bannayuganda babeera ne economic opportunities oba ebyenfuna byabwe bibenga byenkanankana mu mpolampola okusosola oba yagamba income inequalities, sente z'abannayuganda zibafuna ez'enjawulo ezitenkanankana lwaki kibeera bwe kiti. So mu ngeri eno tulese national coordinator w'ekitongole kino oba ekibiina kino ekya NEED Mr. Odaka Asuman agenda kuba nga yegattibwako Lilian Luwedde n'omwami Rogers Turiahabwe okubanga bakwongerayo. Ge gabadde amawulire twanguyeyanguyemu kubanga akadde akabaddeko tekatuli bulungi. Katuwumulemu katono bwe tukomawo tutandikira awamanya nze Edgar Matthew Karuhanga okubanga nkuweereza.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze omubejja Luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano wetugenda okubanga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba masanyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna ssaawa 11 paka ssaawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Dig Talk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Dig Talk, real issues, real talk.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
A very, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to the Mighty Drive. The date today is 6th. I had to be sure. It's a new year. I want to wish every one of you a happy new year. I came in with a little bit of resolutions just for, we are beginning a new year. And we want to make it work. Last year, probably for some reasons, here and there, you weren't able to achieve those resolutions you had set. But here is a brand new year, and we are definitely going to do better. So I think my little advice is keep it positive this year. Look on the positive side, focus on solutions other than problems, and be kind. It doesn't take anything away from you. Stop being self-centered. Me, myself, my that, my this. It doesn't, always work that way. My name is Roger Suriabo. You're welcome to the Mighty Drive. Together we have a gentleman from NEED. Some of you may not know exactly what NEED is, which it is the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, right?
Yes, sure.
And that platform, I'm not very sure whether it's a platform, it's a movement, it's a political party, but we have a gentleman who's also the national coordinator. He's going to be, expounding a little on all that. And what is politically going on in the country. The president now, there's, suggestions that he should be elected by the majority party in parliament and not the popular vote of all the people. What do they have to say about that? I won't take a lot of your time. My name is Rogers again. I'm going to invite Lillian to do the honors of introducing the guests as well. Good morning, Lillian.
Good morning. How are you, Rogers?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. Good morning, viewers. Thank you so much for watching the Mighty Drive. This is Princess Luwade Lillian. Welcome to the show. In the studios today, we have Mr. Odaka Asuman. He's going to be telling us a lot about NEED, and we're going to be discussing about what is going on in the country. There is a lot going on, so we're going to be talking about that. So if you have any questions, you can drop them in our comment section. That is the Alternative Uganda Facebook page. So drop in your comments. I'll be reading them in our second hour before we close the show. Welcome to the show. Bananga abululimi Oluganda mbadde mbeerabidde naye nga mwasuze mutya mwebale nnyo kubanga ate mujje kumiddeko the Alternative Uganda ye page ate kosobola okubanga ate otusanga era nga tuli mu program eya Mighty Drive kwatanaba kubanga ate otwegatako munange kekadde ate osobola okubanga weeyongera okumanya kubanga okumanya tekukoma so kekadde okubanga ate kukumanya kwoyina oba kwebyo byomanyi obeeka ate ebirala byoyongerako olunaku olwaleero mbaniriza nnyo bamikwano era nga mu studios tulina omwami Odaka Asuman agenda kubanga ate atubulira NEED biki byekola biki ebigenda maaso ate oludda olwo era nga byonna tugenda kubanga ate tubitegera naye saagala nnyo ate mbalwiseewo nnyo omugenyi waffe yatwegaseeko dda kansooke mwaniriza asooka atulamuseeko then tutandikirawo programu yaffe mu bujjuvu. Mwami Asuman tusanyusa okukulabako ssebo.
Amina Lilian. Njagala kusookera ddala kwebaza Mukama Katonda n'okubeebaza mmwe okubeera nga muwaayo akadde ne mutuwa akaaganya okubeera nga twogerezaganyako n'abantu baffe ne tuyiga kuva gye bali nabo ne bayiga kuva gye tuli tukubaganya ebirowoozo ku bigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga lyaffe era mwebale okukuuma mutindo guno mweyongere.
Kyesanyusa okulaba mwami Asuman. Akulaba ku Mighty Drive akadde kano yali agadde okumanya mwami Asuman yani era akola biki?
Nzijidde mu capacity ya National Coordinator ya National Economic Empowerment Dialogue. National Economic Empowerment Dialogue kibiina oba platform oba tugiyita mu lufuutifuuti pressure group, political pressure group yatandikibwa mu mwezi gw'omwenda twagilauncinga nga 28 mwezi gw'omwenda omwaka guno omwaka oguwedde saagala kaddiwa obukadde buzibu so omwaka oguwedde nga tulina ekigendererwa kyaffe kyali kisookera ddala twatuula kyatandikibwawo abantu abayimirira ku mulundi guli basingira ddala omulundi guli mu kalulu especially ku parliamentary level ne presidential level naye nga tukulembeddwamu mwami Joseph Kapuleta twagenda ne tutunuulira omanyi buli muva mu kalulu bwe twava mu kalulu ako fe abayimirawo mu member parliament twesanga nga abantu bayimira abantu nga miliyoni namba emitwalo nga 2 naye abayitamu ogenda okulaba bali bantu nga 5 naye n'olowooza nti nno bali abantu kumpi bali abangi abasigaddewo nabo balina ebirowoozo byabwe balina manifesto akalulu tekawera buwezi naye sinno nti tebalina kyakubuulira bannayuganda tebalina kyakugamba bannayuganda tebalina kyakukola babirina ebirowoozo babirina ne batambula mu bantu naye akalulu ne kakola kye of course mu contest eyo omuwanguzi abeera omu naye ebirowoozo bibeera bingi kati ffe mu birowoozo byaffe twalowooza nti naye bannaye omuntu tasobola kugenda mu kalulu nze Mutoro municipality twali bantu 9 twali abantu 9 omuntu omu n'ayitamu naye tosobola kulowooza nti omuntu agenda n'ayingira mu kalulu n'agamba abantu bino byonna akalulu ne kaggwa abantu ebirowoozo bye byonna ne tukola ki teeka wabbali tekibeera fair mu democracy ekyatuleetera ffe abatonotono okuteekawo platform nga tuyinvitinga tuyita bannaffe bonna mujje ebirowoozo byaffe bino tubiteeke awamu ensi eyisobola okubeera nga waliyo bali bye batasobola kukola basobola okwerabira ffe ne tubireeta ensi nebiganyirwamu ekyo kyaleeta ekyo so eyo endowooza eya drivingibwa paka need nekola ki neteekebwawo so naye okuteekebwawo kwa need netulaba nga walina okubeerawo omulamwa wetutambulizwawo need omulamwa ogusookera ddala netugamba bannaye abantu baffe baavu ate ensi yaffe bagamba ensi yaffe ngagga oliyo paradox omuzungu mu economics bayita paradox nti ensi ngagga naye abantu bo baavu olaba kankuwa example nze nva Bukedi nja kuwa example mu nsi yonna mu region zonna nva Bukedi eyo mulimu gold Bukedi erimu amafuta Bukedi erimu phosphate Bukedi erimu limestone Bukedi erimu tin Bukedi erina buli kimu omwaka oguwedde mu mwezi ogw'ekkumi New Vision olupapula lwa government gwawandiika nti mu luzungu nti the biggest gold mine launched in Uganda iteekawo Bukedi mu lupapula olwo bagamba nti buli lunaku gold mine eyo efulumya tani namba kilo 100 olwa gold kilo 100 lwa gold lulimu $1 million nga 5
or thereabout.
Yes, no, it is about 55, more than $55 million every day. And that is about 178 point something billion shillings every day. A grow, but bajewezo, like that. But Bukedi, the people, basinga ko bakalamo jawuka mu Uganda. Cheke. Ekyo kiri mu region abantu je basinga mu obwavu. So tekibeera fair nti ensi ngagga. Naye abantu baavu. So fe needing atugamba nti anedda. Bino byogamba nti no parish model n'abagaggawale emyoga n'ebirala bino si bibi nnyo naye tugamba tulina okutandikibwa Katonda kiyatukola kiyatuwa kubanga Katonda wagamba leero nti azze mu Uganda agamba bannaye nabawa gold nabawa amafuta nabawa ettaka eddungi nabawa abantu n'emikono gyammwe ebiri nabawa buli kimu naye lwaki muli baavu tujja gamba so problem bwe twatunulira ebintu bye byonna tugamba problem eri emu problem ya bukulembeze abantu bagenda batugamba nti no ate mutabula byanfuna na byabufuzi naye ebyobufuzi birimu ebintu ebyo ebiri ebyobufuzi it is about the people and the distribution of wealth ate distribution of wealth it is a matter of governance and leadership so ekyabantu kyebadojinga nnyo okukola ki okwogerako naye ate tebadojinga nze oluusi ndowooza nti bakikola kigenderera okudojinga fundamental issues so fe abanidi tugamba nti nno nedda bino byonna programs za government zino zino okwewola okukola ki for example gold kati oweebukedde yekka gold oweebukedde mu nnaku bagamba entebe airport bagitwala $2 million 2 ekitegeeza bukedde gold weebukedde yekka nga toteseeko birala byonna
asobola okununula airport
mu nnaku ezo nnya zokka anunula entebe airport so waliyo ebintu ng'abannayuganda bye tulina okukola ki okwogerako mu Buganda wano twogera ku mwana.
Are those, sorry to cut you short, are those figures like really factual?
Yes, I am giving you reference as a new vision of 11th October. You can look at it. That is new vision. Government, I didn't want to bring my own because I come from Bukedi. I have even better, but I want to give you what is in the government own paper. Yes. So, for example, when you come to Oje Buganda wano Buganda, they used to waliyo chetu emwanyi yekisinga okubeera nga abantu abasinga obungi basomera ku mwanyi wano. Naye mu 19 mbadde ntunula record nti 1986 twali tuguze mwanyi wa bweru about about 1,700 million dollars by 1986. Today it is 700 million. Ekitegeeza nti no tukubaganyizaamu emirundi nga 7. Naye muziri entono zaali ntono. Naye muziri entono ng'oyinza okugamba nti oli abantu nga bagamba n'okugamba mami tumuli bato temuli bakulu ngaffe. Nga bagamba nti eye emmotoka mwanyiza abala. Muziri entono naye nga abantu bagamba olaba oyo yazimbye mwanyiza abala naye kuzino nyingi nnyo zeeyongedde mu nnyo naye tewali muntu gw'ogamba nti oyo omwana asomera ku ssente z'emmwanyi oli yazimbye ennyumba ku lwa mmwanyi oba eyo emmotoka oba akagaali kavuga ka mmwanyi zino zo ennyingi ziri ku baani ziragawa ziriwa
naye n'akatale kaazo
akatale je kali katale kemu naye nabadde ntunulira ku
ebbeeyi kwe batwalira
yes
kwe batwalira emmwanyi zino ebbeeyi eri wansi nnyo abasuubuzi nalabako juzi awo nga bacomplaininga
anti kati nga tonagenda ku bbeeyi tugende ku baani abazigula middlemen nabadde ntunulira companies ezitwala emmwanyi wabweru zigula emmwanyi wabweru ziri companies nga 7 ku company ezo 7 tewali company na Uganda yadde neyo eyo nkugamba question eri nti zaali nga ntono naye nga ziri mu bannayuganda kati nyingi tetulabako mu Uganda tewali muntu gw'osobola ensi eno erimu kati ebisinga otuleetera ssente ng'eggwanga bintu bibiri mwanyi na gold nga Uganda naye woogenda mu tawuni mu Kampala oba mu Uganda yonna tojja kuŋŋamba nti nno oyo wava muno oyo Liliani oyo ani oyo ye taikuni naye ssente ze yazifunye mu mwanyi oba mu gold tekibeera feyanga ng'ensi so fenga nidi tulowooza ye fundamental question that no kugenda okwogera kubanga bikwatagana bya bukulembeze na byanfuna abantu baffe obwavu bayitiriddeko ate nga tulina engeri gye tusobola okubajja mu bwavu bwetutakozesa.
Okay, so the whole focus of need is basically like economic empowerment, basically.
Absolutely.
It's like saying that people, I was hearing one of, I think the team leader, that gentleman, Joseph Kabuleta, said, Ugandans should have the GDPs in their pockets. not hearing.
Not in the figures.
In the National Treasury.
Because it is...
So you have this a good idea. This good idea that would probably liberate financially the people of Uganda. But we also know, as you also mentioned, that most of the national development is usually also does not relate around one issue. It's a collection, it's a magnitude of a number of issues worked together. Kati mwe focus here mwenga mujitadde nnyo on only economic development. Where do you leave the other issues, the rule of law, those whole issues?
No, you see...
How do they buy into the economic
You see, there is, in management, there is what we call the superstructure. Foundation yekintu. Then the rest. Matters of rule of law, matters, conflicts, all conflicts in the world are product of scramble and struggle for resources.
Yeah, that's right.
The moment you have a poor populace, crime rate will increase. You see? The moment you have, a poor person will not think about democracy, because nobody eats democracy.
Yeah.
Somebody must eat to think about good governance. But you see, we have not completely forgotten this. That's why our need is about economic empowerment. It is about then there is that word dialogue. We think that matters of governance in this country, I keep referring it because these days I'm learning to be a diplomat. I keep referring it to gun conversation. This country has been, we must end gun conversation in the politics of this country. We must bring a process. There should be a group that is midwifing a process that brings governance through conversations like we are here. Contest of ideas, debates. This issue of violence, this issue of amani, it will not help this country. So we think that part of what we have done is that we take these debates, these conversations, not just about the economy, but about governance, about rule of law to the people. When we launched, ever since we launched on the 28th of September, we have now, we have taken this conversation to regions. When you go to Parliament, in the gates of Parliament of Uganda, there are 14 regions. 14 that, according to that, negotiated this geographical area called Uganda. That's Uganda, that's Busoga, Bukedi, Teso, Bugisu, Sebei, Karamoja, Lango, Acholi, Bunyoro, West Nile, Toro, Rwenzori, Kigezi, and Ankole. Those areas negotiated this country. So if anything you're doing in as far as the advancement, whether of politics, whether of economy, whether of social, cultural, if you do not bring these regions into national conversation, you're pretending. You will be firefighting like this country, this government has done for the last close to 36 years now. So what we've done, we have said, okay, let's take this conversation to the people. And therefore, for the last few months, we have been in we've been conducting those regional dialogues. We go to Busoga. We started with Busoga, of course. We held a dialogue and brought stakeholders together.
Who are the stakeholders in this conversation?
The stakeholders in this whatever are one in these dialogues. Of course, political leaders.
You're doing a representation of a region, not a district.
Yes, well. Regions. Regions. We have political leaders. We have, of course, civic leaders. Have cultural leaders. Have opinion leaders. People who contested. I told you the foundation of need. Those are the youth, of course, the women. Representation of our community. We bring them together and we talk about, for example, in Busoga, there was what the topic was, the Busoga we want. And we talk about the history, what Busoga used to be. You know, Busoga, there are 5 things that used to be about Busoga. For example, that when the Bazungu were going, 1957, in Crawford's report, one of the things he said that there are 2 regions in Uganda we left that can feed the region. And that's the Ankole, Bushenyi, Greater Region, and Busoga. But you see, one of it perhaps somebody that a region that a Muzungu saw in 1957 that would feed the entire region is today also, you hear feminine in Busoga. It is unheard of. In Busoga, they went and told them, please plant sugarcane, plant sugarcane. After they had planted sugarcane,
what happened?
He said, Kataleka bikado wazira. You know, and they said, and they were telling them, beye yebikado egwire. But now, how does the price, every day the price of sugar is increasing. How can the price of sugar be
going down?
Going down.
The price of sugar canes are going down, and then the price
of
sugar
sugar is skyrocketing. Yeah. So it is a matter of leadership. Still, it comes to leadership.
Please shed more light, because here's the thing. Most of the times we would say, every Ugandan would agree that we have more or less a liberal economy. That means the people who sell these produces most times are free to determine how much they want to sell their product. And usually the government doesn't really regulate, not most of the times, because now we have the fuel going wherever it wants. So in a liberal economy, where people are free to determine the prices of their product,
where the market demands,
where determines the amount of money that you buy or sell. How does sugar go up and then sugarcane going down? Because they are the same people. I wouldn't say that it's the government that owns the sugarcane plantations. They are usually owned by people who are living among those same people who grow sugarcane.
You see, it is even a misnomer for anybody to call Ugandan economy liberal. At least I was in a class of economics in Makerere for 3 years. That's one. Number 2, but specifically in regard to the marketing of sugar in Busoga. You see, they went and told the Busoga to plant sugarcane, and the entire Busoga is a sugarcane plantation, apart from those IDPs you call towns. I call them IDPs, those Ginger, the Uganda, those are IDPs, because people have left villages and
they've occupied
they are there.
The town.
When they and every town, every district in Busoga has a sugar factory now. Now, when the entire Busoga had planted sugarcane, these sugar factories formed what we call a cartel. Now, they formed the cartel. They started determining how much they would want to buy the people's sugar, the ordinary man's sugar. It is now a cartel determining how much they. If you don't want, leave.
If you don't want,
if you want, bring and sell. And yet they are determining. They are the ones determining the price of sugar. So sugar cane became so abundant in Busoga, and people attempted to want to take it to Kenya. Our own government, you remember, our own government decided to block them at Malaba border and said, no, you can't take sugar out. Of course, even the Kenyans had their own problems, of course. Said you can't take the sugarcane out. You remember, sugarcane that was at one time, a ton, was at 270. Within 1 week, they had brought it to 75,000. And people said, what do we do? He said, what do we do with this sugar? You see, the sugar cane, you cannot cut it to do anything. And you know, where you have planted the sugar cane, it takes you a long time to rejuvenate that land, to plant other crops. So that's why some corners, they say, oh, this sugar cane thing could be a plan, another policy to impoverish the Busoga forever.
So basically, because we are running out of the first hour, I wanted to also intervene a little bit. the need is looking at, for example, the issue of Usoga. It's looking at, empowering them through their main cash crop.
Yes.
So, are you looking
through
at
what they have?
Are you looking at doing the cooperative like societies that used to be there?
Yes.
How do you look forward to making sure that this is actually benefiting you?
You see, we think that if you have, for example, let me give Busoga. You see, cooperative system is what helped this country so much in the previous times.
There was a whole ministry, in fact. So
whole ministry, and all. You can't claim to be an agricultural country, and you do not have, or you look down on cooperative system. You can't. You really be a joker. You will really be a liar. To say we are an agricultural country, but we don't fancy cooperative. We don't promote cooperative philosophy. So for us, we are thinking that for those in agricultural sector, cooperative system should be revamped. Not through these deceptive savings and credit where you don't do saving and credit where government is the one that comes and puts money. That's not saving. You don't. So that is deceptive. That is fake. So we think we want to deliberately encourage and grow cooperative systems in this country.
Sorry to cut you short a little bit again. The cooperative societies, for people who are not there back then, myself included, is it that the people determine how much they sell their products as well? Or is it the government again? Because then you would have to create a whole ministry that is also governed by the government, that also determines the prices that you're doing. And then cooperatives probably just gets together people and finding market.
You see, government must always be there to regulate the processes, all processes. And that's the work of government. But government should not be the one to be doing it. Now, for cooperatives functions in such a way that once people come together, there are two things. If or when the products are in abundance, for example, if coffee, because there was coffee marketing board, there was cotton lint marketing board, and so on. The cooperatives, through government buys the products from the farmers and prevents or shields them from this fluctuation, that damaging fluctuation of prices. So in other words, it helps to stabilize the farmers,
the market basically.
Yes, the prices. It helps to stabilize the market, and in that it does not. it also prevents. It also shields people from these the activities of the cartels, like the Ricardo cartels in Busoga. So in that way, it also helps in sharing of information amongst the farmers themselves. In groupings, when you are in grouping, there is a sense of security, both in pricing, both in marketing,
both in challenges that you face.
Even in terms of accessibility of quality seeds and quality products, processes. That there was a time in this country where the millet of this country was not going out. When it went out, some companies wanted to sue Uganda that they were bringing them sand only flavored with a few millet. But you see, if under a cooperative system, all those are catered for, because collectively we become a whip for each other.
All right. We are going to, of course, we are running out of the first hour. We are going to go in for a short commercial break. When we come back, we want to look at, we have regions that you mentioned. I think they are, you said 14.
Yes, we've done.
I was saying that, I don't know if it's the team leader, Mr. Kabuleta, saying that they had broken down Uganda into 3 because it's too big, and economic
for management, not really to break Uganda, but to manage the program.
And the economic structures are basically not the same. Someone in Muwero is not the same as someone who lives in Kampala, and their incomes are totally different.
They're different.
So when we come back, we see how are we really putting back that, and you know, it's a good idea, but the implementation also including the government, and most of the people who are part of need. Some person was actually mentioning that, like political failures. So how does that work? We have people who are not in government, who are not in decision-making spaces, having good ideas. How do we get these, you know, to be implemented? We're going in for a short commercial break. My name is Regis Suyaba. We'll be right back. Don't go.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Nze omubejja luwedde Lilian mbaniriza maka gaffe amajja era nga wano tugenda okuba nga tukolera programu yaffe emanyiddwa nga The Voltage gaba masannyalaze gennyini era nga twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo omwo nno mwe muli ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga, ensonga z'ebyobufuzi n'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga Uganda, twogera ku nsonga ez'abavubuka, eddembe ly'obuntu awamu n'ebyenkulaakulana. Togisubwa buli lunaku olwokutaano eba ssaawa emu ey'akawungeezi paka ssaawa 3 ez'ekiro.
The Diaspora Link buli lwakuna sawa 11 paka sawa emu ey'olweggulo ye program gye tukuleetedde wano ku Alternative Digital Uganda. Tugenda batutunulira embeera z'Abannayuganda, baganda baffe, bannyinaffe zibawangaaliramu mu mawanga ag'ebunaayira. Bangi banyigirizibwa, bangi bakosebwa, bangi bayisiddwamu amaaso. Naye tugenda batutunulira engeri gye tusobola okulongosaamu embeera zaabwe. Tugenda kuba tulaba abo abakwatibwako abateekeddwa okuba nga balongoosa embeera zino eno. Tosubwa buli lwakuna n'omuweerezaawo Nixon Segawa.
Hello everyone, my name is Abdulatif and I welcome you to the Hotline Show here at the Alternative Dig Talk as we discuss issues of national importance. Join us every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. and see who will be occupying these seats here with us. Keep it Dig Talk, real issues, real talk.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Kulika yenye mukumula mwoko the Mighty Drive program joli mukulaba nze omumbeja luwedde Lilian andi ne munange Rogers tuliahabwe atenga n'omugenyi waffe tukyali naye omwami Odaka Asuman munange tukyagenda maaso n'okubanga twogera ku nsonga ez'enjawulo atubulidde ku pressure group eya need eya launchingibwa omwaka oguwedde omwezi gwali gwa mwenda bwemba seerabiddemu okusinziira ku bwatunyonyodde omwezi gwali gwa mwenda pressure group eno ate bwe yatongozebwa era nga umwami ono gwe tulina mu studios ye national coordinator tenga mulimu n'abalala bangi nnyo nga bwatunyonyodde mulimu omwami Joseph Kabuleto nono yesimbawo okuvuganya ku kifo ky'omukulembeze w'eggwanga erya Uganda tuzze tulaba pressure groups ez'enjawulo tuzze tulaba movements ez'enjawulo eziformingibwa oba oliawo nga nabo abadressing ensonga eziruma bannayuganda agenda kuba tubuulira need kiki ekyenjawulo kyerina okuva ku pressure groups ate zetuwuliddeko oba nezetulabyeko nga zifomingibwa ezimu nezitamala nabbanga ddene ate nezisaanawo omwami Rogers Tulehabwa alina ensonga gyakonyeeko nti abasinga abali mu need abali mu pressure group eno oba oliawo abamba bataminga nga ba political failures olw'ensonga nti tebasobola kubanga ate bayitamu mu bifo bali besimbyeko mu kalulu ke twakakuba amabega ka 2020 magenda kubanga bena abitubuulira naye nga tuli mu ssaawa yaffe ey'okubiri atanaba kubanga oteekayo ekibuuzo genda butereevu ku Facebook page yaffe The Alternative Uganda teekayo ekibuuzo kyo mu comment section nja kubanga ate nkisoma bulungi nnyo nga program yaffe ate naba kubanga ewunzikibwa oba osobola okubanga ate otukubirako mu studios butereevu ku namba zaffe MTN eri 0789017145 MTN eri 0789017145 yenambi ya MTN so nga ate Airtel eri 0759132310 0759132310 ye namba ate ya Airtel kosobola okubanga ate okuba n'obuuza mwami Odaka ekibuuzo naawe naberanga kuddamu bingi nnyo byetwetaaga okubanga ate tumanya era nebigenda maaso mu ggwanga yenga omuntu abiraba atya bera tugenda kubanga ate tubyogerako tulakkalira olwo nate osobola okubanga owulira omwami Odaka ensonga ate nga bwazinnyonnyola obanga ate bwazirambula naye kansogenzereyoko ewe mwami Odaka tulabye pressure groups ez'enjawulo movements ez'enjawulo ziformingiddwa nga nabo badressing ensonga oba oliawo eziruma bannayuganda ensonga gye musinza okuteekako essira eri ku nsonga ya economic empowerment kyanjawulo ki need kyerina ku pressure groups zino zetulabyeko eziformingiddwa oba oliawo n'ezimu nezitasobola kubanga zibeerawo okumala ebbanga
oli mutuufu nti pressure groups nyingi ziformingibwa you see ekibeezaawo pressure groups oba what makes a grouping last is the foundation and idea for which it is running. Pressure groups zisinga obungi eziteekebwawo mu Uganda okuba zibaddewo mu nsonga za njawulo endala zivuddewo olw'okuba ensonga zaabwe zimaze okukolebwa endala zibaddewo naye ensonga zaabwe balaba nga naye ffe
abamu babaddewo oliawo nga beenoonyeza byabwe
okuva revolution ya Napoleon ze musomako mu gundi paka ya Mubaraka juze esembyeyo ejjeeko Mubaraka zonna zibadde matters of bread matters of economy matters of the pocket so ffe okubeera nga pressure group yaffe eteekeddwawo foundation ya abantu baffe tubanunudde butya mu bwavu obeera ng'oŋŋamba nti obwavu bugenda kuvaawo nkya oba mwaka gujja oba ogw'omanyi timeline yayo
nti mu myaka ebiri mu maaso
kati awo oba omanyi need lwegenda okuvaawo kasi oba omanyi timeline y'ekyo awo answer ya need bwegenda okubeerawo oba obwetaavu bwa need okubeerawo oba okimanyi naye bw'obeera nga tokimanyi ate okimanyi nga lutalo lunene oba omanyi n'olutalo need lwerina okukola ki okulwana ate bw'obeera nga naawe olwo olutalo lukukwatako ekitegeeza naawe olutalo need naawe yamba bwambazi uniform ojoyininga need mu lutalo lwayo ekitegeeza nti abasirikale tubalina buli wamu kyendowooza nti nno mpozi tetunaba kutuusa butuusa ensonga zino gye bali ate kyova mbeebaziza okubeera nga naffe mutuyita okubeera nga ensonga tuzituusa y'abantu bennyini abalina okukola ki beetabe mu lutalo luno kubanga luno olutalo lwaffe lwonna buli lwotudde omanyi ng'ensi eno buli lwotudde wano wetutudde it is just that they have not done okunoonyereza naye oyinza okubeera ng'otudde ku mafuta oba gold wano wotudde so ezo zonna zetulina okukola ki so need okubeerawo kwayo kuli relevant based on what it wants to do
and the needs of the people.
And the needs of the people. And that's why we say we do these things because there is a need.
You're talking of political pressure groups. Yeah. Which need is? Yeah. There's no basis. I wouldn't say that there's like a political party that is based on it. It's just a pressure group. Yeah. We also have some other pressure groups like PFT that is now also gearing people towards, you know, political liberation, if I may term it exactly as the team leader says. Don't you think it's important for a little more of an amalgamation, like you and them? Because I've not seen need being represented in PFT. And then a need is also comprises of people who, it's just a group of people as well. People who want the same cause, which is basically the same as PFT. Why don't you work together?
Well, we have no contradiction. Tetubalwanyisa tebatulwanyisa. They are our friends, we are their friends.
But at the end of the day,
what they are doing is important, and what we are doing is also important. The issue is that it is same war, different fronts.
Same war, different
fronts.
That is right.
Yes, they are fighting from the other.
From the other side, namwe muranira this side.
Omulabe wabeera nga waliwo waali ne muformingawo groupings. Bano ba President Museveni we bali balwana. Waliwo Kayiira, waliwo Moses Ali, ULF, waliwo NRA, waliwo Yusuf Lule and so on and so forth. Of course, by Yusuf Lule ne Museveni bajja ne bekwata ne bakola NRA. Naye Kayiira ne bekwata naye nga batuuse mu gavumenti. Moses Ali naye ne bakwatagana nga batuuse mu gavumenti. Naye kyenja okugamba nti same war, different front, naye ekyokubiri we are in talks. Tetuyombagana tuli ba mukwano kubanga kyetukola ffenna buli omu akyagala. There is no contradiction. Political liberation, ffe tuli mu both political and economic liberation. So there is no contradiction. Don't lose sleep. Abali mu need betaaga aba PFT kye bakola. Aba PFT kye bakola tebasobola kikola nga financial liberation tekola ki?
Temukolera wamu.
Nkugambye nti wali contradiction.
Yes, I see, but you see, this it's not about you and PFT. It's about the people of Uganda who you're trying to liberate.
Anti, omanyi mu abali mu media, problemu ya mwagala tulabanga tukola press conference yemu. Muloke mutegeere ntukolagana. Naye towulirangako nga PFT evumye need kyekola ate need naye tevumangako PFT kyekola ekitegeeza we recognize each other's contribution.
Yes, right.
We want to encourage them to do the same good things, and I am happy they call us and tell us chimukola akabati temujjako kigere. So we are doing absolutely well.
Tulabyeko abantu abamu ababaddemu.
Don't mind about the previous, but for now we are doing well.
Tulabyeko abantu abamu ababaddemu pressure groups ez'enjawulo. Boolyawo ng'abamu babala bifo. Nti kasaba malo muwe ekifo and then the abandoning other struggle. How is it in need?
Well, if we need tetulina bifo. Kyova olaba ffe tugamba mujje tukole mujje tulwanagane n'embeera. Kyova olaba tojja kuwulira nti mu need waliyo chairman gundi, mu need waliyo secretary general gundi, mu need waliyo kino, mu need tulina team leader olw'okuba he was the vision bearer. I am simply given a title national coordinator because there should be somebody to run around. But the rest of us, we are, of course, we now also have regional coordinators. as far as our structure is concerned, which we are going to roll out soon, for coordination and make sure that our work move, we shall have the National Steering Committee. National Steering Committee is going to be, it will be represented by two persons from each of these sub-regions I talked about, for coordination purposes. Now, we also have regional steering committees of coordination. Just for coordination up to, we are going to have that structure down to grassroots. So that because the issues affecting us is not just a Kampala issue, it is a grassroots issue. Our people down must know what the problem is. They must know. Let me tell you about Bunyole, for example. I was in the Butaleja area. Butaleja district is 73% wetland. 73% wetland. You know what that means? Now, everybody from the Bunyole area, you see the Dombos, the Shuhas, including the late Serena and Nevanda, and so everybody started out of rice growing. Today, government is evicting those people from the wetland. Now, if you evict people from the wetland, how are you, and yet their singular economic income is rice growing, and it is from the wetland, and you're not providing an alternative, how are you empowering people from the pocket? GDP shouldn't be in the books. We shouldn't be reading them in the books. It should be in the wallet, come on. The GDP that will make sense in this country is when it is in Lilian's it is in your wallet.
Before we broke off, there was she also mentioned that whole idea of a need is it comprises of people who are not in decision-making spaces.
Yes.
And it seems to have a good idea. One Ugandan should actually buy.
Yes.
How do you implement this? Do you work with government? Do you work alone?
Of course,
how are you planning on making sure that this?
Of course, when you wanted if you want to make it upfront, there are people who call us political failures. If you want to be as plain and you want to be a Luo man like me, that's real. But you see, people did not, the elections in Uganda, people do not, it is not true that people don't go through because they had bad ideas.
That's right.
You all know. And people are not in parliament not because they did not win. There are people who actually won, but others were announced. I don't need to remind you, a senior person in this country said, anything in this country cannot be so unless the NRM says yes. So those who did not go through, the only reason is that the NRM did not agree. It is not that they didn't go through. So
I wouldn't say that's entirely true.
But he said so. And
he did, but
he said so. And I don't want. And you know he's a big decision maker in this country, and I don't want to doubt his capabilities. unless you're doubting his capabilities. If you doubt, then you will also give us your fact. But you see, so what we think that these good ideas and these good people who by other means were not announced winners, their good ideas should find avenue where we could even compile them, and if for now we could find an institution that would think those ideas are implementable. Two, we are saying we need a pressure group that is talking about issues of leadership. You've even, you know for a fact that even our team leader, the principal, is a former presidential candidate. I don't want you to rule out that he still has ambition to be president of this country.
I wouldn't rule that out.
I don't rule it out. And don't rule out the fact that I also want to still be an MP in this country. Okay. So in other words, what we are doing is about trying to organize a platform that even when some of us are also in leadership, you go with the clear. You know, the tragedy in this country is people go into leadership position unprepared, some of them. And therefore, when you get there, you are unprepared, and therefore, everything you will do, you'll conduct yourself like a madman. You know what mad people do? Where they throw a stone, where it hits, that's their target. They don't plan on a target.
Mr. Odaka, now that becomes basically someone is probably looking, like you said, I cannot rule out the fact that you will become MP at one point. So ordinarily, someone out there is going to think your ambitions are not actually the economic liberation of Ugandans, but you are preparing your platform for you to also get to the parliament. So at that point, it becomes personal. It doesn't become national. No. It's not. It doesn't become an issue of the people of Uganda and the economic liberation as you preach. So how do you?
No, myself being MP does not mean because
over
I am not going to be an MP for myself. That's one. But you see, the other thing is that that's not entirely true. That is only for those who think leadership is a personal thing.
Which they do.
But we've seen it happening.
In this country, majority of the people get to the decision-making spaces, and it is the people serving them, not them serving
me.
People.
From my, if you followed me for some time, you know that I always don't want to be like the majority. And I know for the majority, you know the majority. You see, that is a mindset issue, and part of what we must deal with as leaders of the next leaders. That people, we must the issue of leadership or politics is such an important, because politics determines the roads, which roads you pass on, what kind of road. Politics determines the kind of health system you have. Politics determines the education. And therefore, we should stop looking at politics as a personal issue. No. We must begin looking at politics as such an important thing that is universally important, and it must be looked at in a way that is not just personal. Personal things are beauty. So beauty contest, we can leave it, and it should be a mind contest. A contest of policies that help the people. And that is what makes us, we in need, different from others.
That is the difference that need does.
Very big one.
So we also, because the SEPA, actually I think someone was asking, Nacha Yune, what guarantee is Mr. Odaka giving to Ugandans that their leadership economic claimed guidance isn't to use Ugandans for funders or individual gains like People Power he initiated? It also goes to the fact that you are one of those initiators of People Power as a movement back then, and then it has materialized and later became a political party. But you also now belong to another pressure group. You began the other one and then you are in another one. How does that...
You see, before you reach your destination, you keep moving.
Yeah, that's right.
You must keep moving. That shows you that there is something I am genuine, because anybody will look at that grouping as successful politically, and in quotes. But the fact that I was part of it, but I am now another one, I would be there and eating. But you see, I have left it, and I'm saying there is something that really we need to talk about. Because our friends are doing well. But you see, there are certain things some of us think must be addressed. And that is the issue of the economic empowerment of our people, the economic status of our ordinary people. So it is not true. Let me tell you, if I wanted to whatever about funding, I am a good concept writer. I would be having an NGO and there's something and I know where funds are, by the way. I know if I want to make money, I know how money is made.
You know how to write
a good
concept.
Not in this. By being in this kind of business we are in the politics, and trying to talk about the real things that affect people, it is a very risky thing in this country.
Yes,
it is extremely risky. You dodge bullets every day, you dodge tear gas every day, you dodge arrest every day. Every time you leave, your children don't know if you're coming back today or not. But you see, the mere fact that you insist is not that I am attracting. It can't be. So anybody who talks about funding, me looking for funding in this risky business, does not know how they make money.
All right, moving away from that a little bit. Your team leader, the principal, Mr. Joseph Kabuleta, also mentioned the fact that one of the problems that we have as a country is that politics is structured on personalities, which is a fact. And then we have need that is basically leaning towards his vision, him as JK, Joseph Kabuleta, sorry, I put it short. He's running for presidency, he's using a pressure group. He's reaching out to Ugandans, which is good, he's opening their eyes civically. Isn't this also standing on his own as one? And isn't that personality politics that he's talking against?
No, unless we need to find a better definition of personality politics. Otherwise, personality, what you're talking about, personality politics, I would be here saying I am a coordinator of Joseph Kabuleta, but I have said I am a national coordinator of NEED. Secondly, if you look at everything that comes up, every successful idea in the world must have vision bearers. It is fortunate and we are happy and we are grateful that this is his vision. He is the vision bearer. But if you see how we conduct our business in NEED, you'll know. I invite you one of these days. You know that we are doing our things a little bit different. And not just a little, but drastically different in terms of institutional building. We are building an institution. We are building, even when it is still a pressure group. And this makes, I think, for people to trust us, that fenna tujje tuzimbe ekintu kino ekisobola okuyamba bana Uganda, because I live here and go to West Nile. I am not a Lugwara, but I know Lugwaras are our people. So when I go and I'm telling them about empowerment of our people in Arua, in Koboko, in in Yumbe, and so on, I do not think there is any personality or Joseph Kabuleta will need to go to West Nile. And I don't know what I am saying about Joseph Kabuleta, particularly in West Nile. We are selling an institution called NEED, but you see, this institution must have leadership to guide the vision, to meet the goal. And that is really what we are doing.
Mu kalulu akawedde bw'otunuulira opposition bannayuganda babateekamu obwesige bungi oba oli awo ne batuuka abamu ne bafeelinga nti bali disappointed olw'ebyatuukawo. Ku mulundi guno munaasobola mutya okuzza emitima gyabwe n'okubakonvinsinga okuddamu okukkiririza mu pressure groups zino?
Ffe ng'aba NEED, National Economic Empowerment, ffe tulowooza abantu baffe kintu kimu kyokka nti abatufuga, philosophy y'abatufuga ya mundu. Abantu bateeka mu bantu baffe okutya kungi. So kyetuwa okutya ate okutya kuno. So batufuga mu kutya. Babanyaga ne mutya ne musirika olw'okutya. Babakola ki ne babakuba ne ffe tulowooza nti civic education, olw'okuba civic education abantu tebamanyi ddembe ly'abo, omuntu tamanyi nti nno omuntu alina kukuba toli nte. I am a nephew and a Muko people from Western Uganda.
I think there's a caller. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, the Mighty Drive.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Yes, this is Kato from Barara.
Yes, Mr. Kato.
Thank you for the show and for hosting that gentleman, but I have a quick one here. You see the issue we have in Uganda, I think most of the people have learned the language of grassroots building and institutional building. Because as far as I know, when NEED was launched officially, I don't know how many people down in the deep villages know about what NEED is trying to do, their aims and their goals, and how far they have gone. Then secondly, about that gentleman, how sure can he, make us believe in him that Much as he was one of the founders of the People Power and the Pressure Group, you know, he was successful and is now a political party. He ran out of it. I don't know for what reason. How sure are we that even after this need, you know, get successful, he won't leave us and maybe form some other new pressure group? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kato, for calling.
Kato is serious. You are the other one.
Two things. His first issue is how the person, the ordinary person down there. We are just about 5 months, or not more than 5 months. But we have been to sub-regions of Busoga. We have been to Bukedi, we've been to Busoga, and we've been to Sebei. The next ones, we are now going to others. And that is how we are taking the message of need. So you shouldn't get worried. And we've also had one in Kampala Metropolitan, other than the launch. So that we are going systematic, region by region, to spread this message. And you know, every region we go to, we leave a core structure that has to spread and the message percolates to the ground. So this message is really going. Those who profess Christian faith, it is over 2,000 years since Jesus was here, but the message is still being propagated. So we shall also propagate the message as that. Let him be sure that the message. Secondly, People Power, when we started People Power was, we started it in Bugiri when we went to Council of Salirwa's elections. That's where I remember we started it from. So People Power was an idea to coalesce people towards change path. And I don't think I have moved away from pursuing the path of change, both economic and political. I have not moved anywhere, so let him not lose sleep. I am there. I am steadfast. If I had gone to the side that says Paka last, that one, he would then blame me. I would really be guilty and be charged. But for now, People Power is an idea that was born for some of us who think that the power of the people must be visible in the politics of the country. Okay. You see, just like it is in our constitution. I'm still a believer in our constitution. The first article says all power belongs to the people. Right. I am still a believer in that. You know, how can he say I've run away from my own? So let him not lose sleep. I am still in the path, seeking path.
Mwami Mugisha Patrick onone LC5 emitiana bangambe kwali nnyo ali mu kugoberera program naye mwami Katonga tannabakuba wadde kyatunyonyola ku nsonga y'okuba nti need egenda convincing etya abantu okuddamu okubakiririza mu okuddamu okukkiriza in this special group. Yes, ife tulowooza nti Munnayuganda yenna part of kyetukola nti Munnayuganda yenna alowooza nti no alowooza nti kyetwogera si kituufu nti waliyo embeera gye tulimu eteekeddwawo ku bintu bya because batugamba batutwala leero bajja bagamba constitutional review enkya babagambe emyoga ku luli babagambe bakutte my friend council Kakwenzi ebyo byonna biri mu diversion naye nga waliyo group eri mu kubba bino byemukola bino obugagga olina okubeerawo ebyo byonna biri important. All those things are important, but the most important one is the capability in terms of economic, because abaana baffe baddayo ku masomero baagala school fees. Health sector kati buli omu mulwadde ayagala bujjanjabi. Ebyo byonna bitwalibwa sente. Ni bwogenda okugula lawyer, you need money. So and you know, a poor man does not decide properly. A beggar has no choice. So we should. So that is the most important thing. Feje tugamba abantu baffe. Intuwe tuba tugenze
mbadde nkugamba ng'omuntu w'ebutaleja kati omuntu w'ebutaleja w'omugamba n'omugamba kati wetland iyo bakugobako kati kiki kyogendo ojja kujjawo ojja kusomesa otya omwana badombo bonna basomera ku mikyere egiva doko and so on bano bashuha bonna ba ambassadors and so on so omuntu wa wansi w'omugamba ebyo nagenda juze capture for example capture not real Sebei wotuuka Sebei nze ndowooza nti abasebei ne Uganda yonna if they don't wake up to the problems in Sebei like in all other regions there are people who are going to go instinct in this country. Okay. In Sebei they have a plain which they call the lower land. The lower land is where they were planting their crops. It's where they were grazing their cows. It's where they were living. Now government, the big men in this government went and fenced off close to 600 acres of land. Fencing off. And it is criminal for any Sabine to go to that land. They are shooting them dead. You step there, they shoot you dead. It is happening in this country. Never pushing rock, waguru. Omanyi Sebei, almost 90% is just a rock area. So all the other area is taken by big people in this government, so no, but they are living on the rocks like up the rock like telecommunication mast. Balinga ebintu bya emirongoti. So kati bali badduka mu the upper belt, baita upper belt. Yali forestry yaliko reserve government negenda ne gazettingawo okubeera game park kati neba kuba kungudo bwoti bali kungudo nga gundi ine emiti gy'amasannyalaze eminaala nakibwe batyo tebalina wa kugenda bambi so omuntu ng'oyo okubuulira bwe twatuuka ne tugamba abantu message ya need abantu balowooza kati Yesu Kristo yakomyewo. So ebyo ebitufuula ate ebituwa amaanyi okubeera nti tolina kyokka nawe olina okukola ki kutambula olw'abantu olw'omuntu wa bulijjo.
Omukyala nakyayine alina ekibuuzo kyabuuziza n'agamba nti our elites like Mr. Odaka have become confusing elements of the struggle to liberate our country. Most of us thought he is Jema, and yet Jema are among the initiators of PFT. And yet he and Jema brought people power in UP in brackets. If not forgetting, he was Mbabazi man. Now Sijui need. If our elites decide to become political prostitutes, where does it leave a common Uganda who doesn't understand
politics basically.
Amanyi ati ekitegeeza nakyeyuna she needs to understand these issues that Jema is a party and people power was a pressure group. Need is a pressure group. Well, I have not been in Babazi man. I have always been me. I have not been anybody's man. So PFT betwali mu Kalulu. Let me give Nacheyune. I know Nacheyune well. Let me give Nacheyune the example of 216. Betwali mu 216. Waliwo go forward. Was it TDA? Was a pressure group. Naye mu Jema yennyini waliyo abasigala ne Dr. Besigye. You remember the Hussein Chanjo and so on. But waliyo abagenda ne TDA. Like we are now in Jema, waliyo abali mu PFT, waliyo naye ekikulu kiri nti we agreed and we agree as Ugandans nti can we all remain on the seeking path. Omuntu ali confused mu struggle nti yegwosanga nti principle leero ajerabidde naye kasitola omuntu yenna ali mu path ya struggle nti akyali afeesinga omulabe y'omu nze okuva bwe najja mu politics nga nkyali mu university sikyusangako omulabe wange takyuka mu politics takyukangako y'omu. Oyinza okukyusa emmotoka manyi when you are on a journey okyusa n'ogamba wano fabatambulira mu olusi mu nsozi mu ki n'okyusaako baasi n'okyusaako booda n'okyusaako n'akagaali fe tulambulako n'akagaali eyo. So the path of liberation, we shall change vehicles, we shall change means of transport, we shall even change the path. Sometimes we shall move on a highway, sometimes on a panya route, but we must keep going, and the target must remain, and it has remained for me for a long time, since I started this struggle.
Thank you so much, Mr. Odaka. You can still call in. We are in the second hour. You can call in and have your questions addressed, or alternatively, you can go to the Facebook page, type in your question, and this gentleman will answer right away. Mr. Odaka, we talked a little bit earlier about the fact that most of the NEED members are those who are not in political positions. How do I wanted to understand how are you looking, because a person down there is going to get that idea, and it's a good idea. But most of the things happening in this country, it's the political will. It's not just in this country anyway, it's anywhere. The political will must be there. How do we make sure that these ideas actually are practiced, are put in work, implemented? Because they are good, but the people who are holding them are people who are outside the decision-making space. How do we make them work for Uganda?
Two things. Number one is that I always sit on TVs and you journalists help to get us this. And you see people say, government here to Yambe, government should come and help us in Tororo and so on and so forth, everything government to Yambe. But for us in NEED, we are saying, this is a self-helping initiative. You have asked the government to come and help you for a long time. Government cannot. So what can we do ourselves? We have phases. For now, what can we do for ourselves? That's one.
What can we do?
And what we can do is that, one, we start, in revolutions, there's what we call age of enlightenment.
Yes.
We give information. Do you know we were one time in Jinja, and we told the people in Busoga all the resources they have, including mortuary, and somebody called in and said, chokoba abantu ba NEED baidye biri ebusoga okusingako abakulembeze baife ebusoga. And you really see that the person is surprised. Now, that is critical in this kind of struggle we are in, that people are knowing, and we are doing it, by the way. Not just what we are going to do. That one, we are doing it, and it is happening. So, you know that once somebody is aware and is enlightened, civically competent, our catchword is civic competence. Once somebody is civically competent, that person can then confront the problem. And if the problem is leadership, our constitution is clear on what you should do to do that. And they will do it. Don't doubt it.
Talk.
Unless you want to doubt the capability of Ugandans, if they know something, how they can confront it.
I am not doubting it, but we also live in a country where decision making is not for the Ugandans.
You see, there are certain things.
Moving to that a little bit. Moving to that, I also wanted to get your idea. You're talking about the Constitution. The Constitution says something. Usually what is done is usually the opposite.
Yes.
And now we have a president who is rallying people to make sure, to move the voting from the populace, make sure that people are voting the president, to the National Assembly, where the majority party decides who becomes president of Uganda. How do you marry the people, the will of the people, and what is actually happening? Because it's one thing to look at, to do political sloganeering,
yes,
and it's another thing understanding the reality that is on ground. So how are we doing that? I also want to pick your idea.
You see, there are two things.
That whole issue.
Back to the first one, is that there are certain things that you must do to go on record. For the purpose of Mr. Kakwenzi the other day, as people are saying, even if you go to court and secure a court order, after all, they are not going to. I told them it is good. Let it go on record. That somebody has deliberately violated
someone's right.
The provision of the Constitution. So first of all, for a moment, forget that it will actually be done. But first, go on record that for you did the right one, and somebody did not do the right one. That's one. So, number two, you see, I have always told Ugandans that every time we must begin thinking a little bit ahead and stop being reactive. The issue of constitutional review and you know, as of now, there are so many. When we talk about constitutional review, we are going to touch nearly the entire. That constitution needs an entire remake, by the way, and I hope that's where we are moving.
So you also agree with PFT?
We have one of the best constitutions in the world, if you must.
That's not true. A best constitution in the world cannot be amended almost 217 times.
The issue is not the constitution. The issue is the people who are amending the constitution.
But you see, the kind of game people play is determining the kind of players in the field.
Yes, that's right.
So you cannot begin saying the game is very good, but the people are the ones who are playing badly. That's a contradiction in itself. So a good constitution cannot be made over 200. I have lost the count how many we've amended that thing called the constitution now.
And now which goes back to the will of the people, which you were mentioning. Because you're now trying to civically make people competent, but the constitution is usually amended against the will of the people.
Yes, so that's why I'm saying, I was telling you, that this particular exercise, you see now they have fronted one controversial issue to occupy people so that they forget the more serious one they are targeting. You do not know what, I have not yet known, because I have not even, I have not paid attention to it, but let me tell you, when you are dealing with the Mr. Museveni, if he tells you go to Tororo, find the exact opposite of Tororo, and that could be covered somewhere. That's why you should wait for him. So I do not know exact target. The target could be the amendment of the land law. And people are now going to jump on this one, then the most important. and that's what he's doing now.
But it's also a serious issue.
It is a serious issue, but it is not more serious, but like the land question now. And his interest, he will not. Mr. Museveni and his system are very, very reclusive people. They will state their intention, but not the real one. I am telling you, they want to do the constitution, but you know how long. When he wanted the age limit, he fronted the land. Of course, he wanted both of them, but he wanted the life presidency was more urgent. So he moved around the entire country, talking about land. Then even you, the media, started quarreling about the land when Mr. Majezi was doing the life presidency project. So right now, this constitutional review thing, we need a proper, in his own language, he calls it musoka kusirika nemukola nemuwuliriza. We need to first know what is his exact target. He could have fronted this. Of course, I'm not only saying the land, but there are also many more serious things in regard to our constitution. So this constitution, we just don't need to pick out one thing and begin discussing it and running around it. I want to appeal to all my colleagues, especially the change thinking, that we need to study what his target is this time.
Studying is,
now, okay. Going away from that, that said, we also know that if for a fact Mr. Museveni knows he cannot win any popular vote in this country. He can't. He can't.
But he won in the previous elections.
That if you want us to debate that one, we can debate it. It is a debatable thing that actually he won or not.
The electoral commission, you know, we use Okulangirania Wangude, Nanya Dido, Nanya.
Naeliria now, Chimani Juzi Agamba anti see electoral commission. Yeah, and the NRM. bebalina okukola ki nga electoral commission nibwogamba ki nga ye ne NRM tebagamba ekyo kyekituufu ye yakigambye juzi ate mwaliyo nga media so saagala tubetinge ku ekyo si electoral commission. We have anyway he vindicated us because for a long time we've been saying that electoral commission is the
dead end.
See what? And they've been saying no, but the good thing it came from him. So we are saying President Museveni knows, the last election was recorded in this country as the most violent, most expensive, most image damaging, and also it proved to Mr. Museveni how people truly feel about him and his system and his governance. So he thinks that popular vote, him, or even his successor, by the way, will not win it.
Isn't the issue even about his successor?
Even his successor, well?
because ordinarily, yes, the gentleman, well, one who is purportedly going to be a successor, yes, is not surely that. We know because some people are saying. Here's the thing: people are saying this is on the streets. It's no longer. It's a public secret now.
That who?
That now this whole move is probably about the Mozi project, the final phase.
Yes.
Where we know for a fact that because he has lost popularity before he's even president.
Yes.
So if he becomes one, that means it's not possible for him to win a popular vote if we go to the elections.
No.
So it's also possible that is the move. So our whole idea, that is why it becomes important. As you were saying that people need to also look at some other possible moves that he's trying to move the cards. Yeah. But this is a serious issue.
Yeah, it is.
We don't live in a monarchy kind of government.
My brother, I agree with you entirely. And my daughter would tell you when you say that, she will tell you her wisdom will kill you one day. You see, there is somebody who is being fronted. And I wanted it to come from you so that they don't say I am politicking, because you're a professional. You're a journalist, you pick information
from the people.
From the people.
It's
not people. Yours. Because if me I had said, they would say I am propagating. But for you, you pick from people, which is your professional passion. Now, the person, that's why I say himself and even his likely successor, he knows they cannot win any popular vote here. Of course, for MP parliamentary, they will round you like they rounded some of us. They beat you, they imprison you, and steal the votes in your absence. And then they come and they hide them there and say, hey, chichi, so it is a serious issue we must pay attention to as Ugandans. But I'm saying we should not forget the others, because he could be floating this because he has an intelligent propaganda machinery. He could be floating this when his target is elsewhere also, because there are also more fundamental ones. Because I do not think, because the issue of land is an ownership of a country. It goes to ownership. It goes to citizenry. It goes to who is the citizen of the country. Of course, this voting, we can always haggle, run around and so on, but you cannot run around. I think the direction Mr. Museveni wants to take in regard to land reform or land laws in this country is simply to make all of you squatters. Because they have discovered this entire country is just minerals. If you didn't know.
Yeah, it is.
It's just minerals. That now you can, it is becoming difficult in as far as the existing law in regard to how they exploit. Because when they come to exploit Lillian's land, she will begin talking about compensation, this and so on. What was happening in Masaka here? The cutting of people and so on. One time we were seated with my principal, Joseph Cabinet, and he told me, Odaka, do you know that most likely the issue of cutting people in Masaka, why is the issue of cutting people in Masaka along the corridor where the pipeline is going to pass? I told him, are you sure? So, you know, he's a researcher. You journalists are researchers naturally. So he started telling me, started giving me the data. I told him, are you sure? He told me, then he told me, most likely, this thing is about pipeline. I told him, if you think it is so, you say it. He said, I say it. I told him, yes, you say it. You say it publicly. Because people who perpetuate criminality do it under people's ignorance. The moment you bring it out, it will stop. Kabuleta called a press conference. He called you people. When he mentioned it, that's how the massacre thing ended. So that's and you see, it becomes suspicious that why should a criminal, an ordinary criminal, the act coincide with the mention of so and so. So those who do intelligence, it is a part of where they begin. They say, okay, those are points of suspicion, you know. So don't, because why would these cabals that are in this country, why would he thinking of one of the old women who was killed, who was supposed to earn to be compensated almost 280 million. So it is cheaper to pay 5 million and kill her than pay her 280 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's why I told you criminality and issues in this country rotate around economy.
Mr. Tomusime Kata says, Mr. Odaka Asuman, I really think that my church people cannot feed on good governance and the rule of law. They are to, but where the two are handled with great care and are practiced so well, the citizen will feed and depend on the fruits of the same. So you cannot deal away with them, and economics alone cannot solve the country's problems. I think that was in the first hour when we were talking about.
I agreed. I think he wants to.
I think his issue was about that need is basically focusing on economic
exactly. But you see, I didn't say people don't feed on governance and whatever alone. I said we must handle the issue of the economy because others seem to have forgotten it. So he's right. He's right. He's right. He's actually in line with the need.
So you're also agreeing with him that all those issues work in tandem.
Yes, that's why we who the vision bearers of need are also eyeing political, because we think that those problems, governance, politics must go hand in hand. Good politics will determine the kind of economy we have.
Mr. Kato also said that, so as need is your target on Busoga and the sugar cane, why can't you also focus on tobacco, cotton and tea as other cash crops grown in Uganda?
Well, I only gave Busoga, that was their challenge. The challenge in Sebei is about gold and chasing them from land. The challenge in Bukedi is about gold, cement factories. Their border, they are at the border, which gives this country almost 60. By the Bukedi gives, in as far as border revenue concerned, almost 65%. But they are there poor. So when you go to Bugisu, their issue is coffee and the prices. So we have every region has some kind of unique issues. Yes.
Mr. Motali Farouk says, I think making some regions poor intentionally. I think making some regions poor intentionally is working. Like, imagine how Kejong's Bukedia, Uganda could be rich with only its people practicing their economic activities.
Yes, all histories of development and those who study economics will know that a real sustainable economic development must be anchored around people's norm, culture, and beliefs. And that's why in the West, in the Eastern, they will tell you we are capitalists, and capitalists have underlying beliefs. So you cannot claim to be driving development, economic development, if you want to do away with people's lifestyle, cultural lifestyle. It is an anchor in terms of, an engine, by the way, in terms of that. Economic experts know that.
Basically, I think it's about people identifying with what is going
because you develop around what you have and what you know and what you can do.
That is right. So we're coming to the close. Time is actually running out. I want to give you 1 minute to say your closing remarks and basically just also hint on how people can actually participate in it.
Well, number one, I want to thank you for the invitation to be able to say out what we do as need. Need for now, our offices are still for the meantime in Bugolobi. That is the national office where we are still operating. We shall be moving to a better place soon. We invite our people to come and, because these issues we are airing out are not issues of me. Of course, Kabuleta, of Asuman, Odaka, of Mlangan, because those are people around whom we occasionally others, all over the country. Those are not just our personal issues. We are trying to put bare the issues as we think is the most important problem of Uganda and of the country. We think that we can't pretend to be bringing out programs that is replicating sustainable development goals, the Europeans and so on. Yet we are, by the way, we are in terms of weather, we are the best country in the world. We have the best soil, we have really everything. So like I started, if God came back and said, now you people, I gave you land, fertile land. I gave you good hands. I gave you gold. I gave you everything. Why are you poor? Well, don't you think all of you, and if that is the only reason God wants to take people to hell, don't you think God can really make this can be another study kind of like Gomorrah is destruction? That means we are not believers. So the only answer now for us in need, we have found the answer, and the answer is leadership. And that's why we are saying we bring these messages, bring these conversations to you, to the Ugandan listeners, and we say, okay, the problem is the leadership. What can we do about the leadership of this country? And then we decide on there.
All right. We would like to end on a lighter note, and Mr. Odaka, bichebe byonyumira okukola mu biseera by'ebiddembe nga toli mu kulwanirira bannayuganda, toli mu kutunuulira nsonga zirimu abannayuganda.
I am a footballer. Yes. If it is this
politics, you're not a Man U fan.
No, I am a defender. Number 5 and number 2 are my numbers.
Okay.
I am also, I enjoy reading a lot. If you have some books, if I show you some books, I will grab. But I almost a small writer. So those are my things. When I am alone, I do my writing, I do my reading, then I get my football with my little son, and we go and play football.
I hope you don't support Man U. Thank you so much, Mr.
No, I don't support foreign teams. I support Ugandan teams.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asuman. We thank you so much. The people of Uganda need to know what is going on. And of course, like you said, I like the catchword, the civic competence, because if someone is civically competent, civic competence means someone knows what is going on and around them, and that gives them a good place to make informed decisions. So we thank you so much, and we think it's a good idea. We hope to see more of that, and we hope to see more engagements going on. My name is Roger Suyabwe. I'll give Lillian do her closing remarks, and we'll call it a day.
Tweyanziza nnyo mwebale nnyo mwenna ababaddeko kuva gye twatandikidde abakomenti nze tweyanzege mwebale nnyo bamikwano wano tugenda okuba nga ate tusiibulira olunaku olwaliro saawa zigenda kuba 11 tugenda kubeera ne programu emanyiddwa nga Diaspora Link. Omwami Nixon Sega wagenda kuba nga ate ayongera otubuulira. Tulina Ambassador Milton Kambula agenda kuba nga naye atwegatako mu studios olwaliro wamu n'abagenyi abalala bagenda okubaawo temugisibwa ensonga ezigenda okwogerwako nsonga za muggundu temusaanidde kubanga ate muzibuusa amaaso. Diaspora Link weerinnyo era nga n'olunaku olw'enkya Mighty Drive ejja kubaawo, Mulangira Nakibinga ajja kubaawo wali awamu ne Voltage ne programs endala nnyingi ezigenda okuba nga ate zijja mu maaso awo zemugenda okuba nga ate mulabako. Nze Omumbejja Luwedde Lilian kambagalize okubeera bulungi mubeere bulungi mweraba.
Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.